So good evening, everyone. We are live with this eclectic bunch of XLRI students who are all experiencing now their third trimester actually. So the news of the day is people are talking about CAT results to be out tomorrow. I really don't know. The site is under maintenance, so we don't know whether there's any news about that. So that's something we'll keep it out of the agenda for today. जैसे मेरे को कुछ न्यूज़ मिलता है, I have not heard anything from my sources yet. जैसे मेरे को न्यूज़ मिलता है तो we can this thing it, but अब CAT results का relevance भी खत्म हो गया in the sense that you know how much you're scoring percentile more or less पता ही हो जाएगा उसमें. So I'm just waiting for more people. In the meantime, can you guys introduce yourself, starting from Ayush, Ravi, Divya, and Kartike, right?
Sure. I'm Ayush Kumar. I did my aerospace engineering from Florida. Then I worked for about 4.5 years in education and then in health tech. And right now I am in XLRI's general management program, which is for people with work experience.
Okay, so I'll come to that. That's one of the agendas. And the first agenda, of course, is how do you get into XLRA? What are the keys to crack that, and then which program should you apply for? That's
Right.
that's also this thing. So Ayush has a 4.5 years work experience. So GMP, right? It's called the GMP.
Yeah, it's
It's a
called the GM.
1 year program.
It's the 1-year program.
It's a 1 year program. Okay, it's like the executive MBA parallel to
Essentially.
that.
Yeah.
And also the fees are higher in this than the
No, the fees is about the same. It's
about
just
this.
we have it over 2 years, we have it over 1 year.
Okay. So
Yeah.
mid-career professionals. So what's the batch profile? Minimum experience. We'll continue this line since that's interesting. So what's the batch profile in terms of minimum experience, maximum experience,
Minimum
median?
experience. Yeah, minimum experience is about so like I have 5 years. The minimum experience is 5 years.
Minimum size.
Maximum, yeah, minimum is 5.
Uh,
And I think the person in the batch who has the maximum experience has maybe 20.
okay. And the
Yeah,
median would be what, 7, 8?
median would be about 7, 8. Yeah,
So the entry age is around 27, 28 to 40 also.
yeah. We have a couple of people who are above 40.
They must be pretty senior professionals in their
Yeah,
career.
they are.
And what kind of delta does the batch expect from your job before an MBA and to before the GMP to after the GMP?
So because the GMP profiles are so diverse, that one's a little hard to say, but people do expect a significant jump, and people
Okay,
do usually get that jump.
at least a
That,
2x, 2.5x.
yeah,
Okay, so you enter at 20-25 lakhs and you exit at 50 lakhs plus.
if that happens, that's awesome. But generally, sometimes it will be a little lower.
Okay,
For
some people
example,
will enter at 10-15 lakhs also, I guess, right?
yeah,
So 2x तो मिल ही जाता होगा, I guess, right?
हाँ, 2x around हो जाता है.
Okay,
Last year, I believe the median package went to about 22, 23.
okay,
और उसमें भी ये था that their median was much higher then COVID hit.
okay.
And
Because
yeah, so
so
that
was it lower because of the COVID hit? It must have been lower because of the COVID hit.
so before the COVID hit, they placed about 85-90% of the batch.
Okay.
And so again,
What,
obviously we don't know the
what
details,
are the
but
highest pack?
yeah, so those are the details that are available on the site also,
What is the highest package? That is not informed.
that we don't know.
Okay, okay, great. So how do placement profiles differ from a GMP to a BMD?
So I can speak for GMP, and I think Karthik or Divya can speak more to the BM process.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
GMP has about, especially this year, it has about an equal mix of IT and non-IT. And then
okay.
people go into roles such as product management and consulting. And so there's a lot of those profiles coming. There's a
So
mix of IT.
after GMP, you enter the higher middle management. That's the kind of role you get. Okay, and directly, obviously, no management trainees and all after that.
No, then you just go straight into the position.
Good.
And the wonderful thing I would like to add to this, sir, that in GMP, as soon as you enter the college, you will be in the race for placements. So currently, we are almost like 5 months into the program, and 50% of the batch is already placed, and we are like ready to fly in next
You
6 months.
all done GMP program, Ravi?
Yes, sir. I'm
Okay.
also from GMP program. So I graduated back in 2015 from NIT, and since then I've worked in analytics sector, data analytics in 5 year for 5 years, and then I moved to GMP
Okay.
this year.
Okay. Great. And does the GMP allow an industry shift, or is it same industry? You enter the same industry,
Uh,
or you go
okay.
into.
So a drastic shift would not be possible just because you are coming with a background. So that is really not a case here. But yes, if you want to shift your like culture verticals within the industry, it is very much possible. Say for
Acha.
example, I am from banking and financial services. I can shift my domains from say data analytics to consulting or some similar profile, but in banking and financial services. A
Okay.
drastic shift is something which we should look for, but it is rare. It is rare.
Because obviously you then lose the experience of the past. The
Yes,
advantage of the
correct.
experience you lose. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
We got
right.
around 80 plus people now in the session. So I guess there are some fans of you guys also who are there. Vaibhav is pining for Dwivedi OP, so maybe he wants to hear something from Karthikeya. And
Batch mate so far, sir.
Tony is the nicest person you will meet. Too many things to learn from. You can see this coming from Priya's Nagar. So yeah, I have not got to these two people. So I guess their fan club is shouting out loud for you guys to talk about your BMD program.
Less
So
of fans, but more of friends, I guess.
yeah, more of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a mountain of books behind Ayush, right? So,
I would say that he is the scariest guy over here in our entire batch.
so
I wish I could say I've read even half of them.
yeah, we, I was reading this comment. I'm a huge collector of books, but I don't read them. that is the joke going around nowadays. So
Exactly that.
GMP. Let's just close this one last thing. What is the entry process?
So the entry process is similar to the way it is for BM. There's two routes. So you can enter through the XAT or the GMAT,
Okay.
and once they've selected you on the base, so obviously GMP is more profile based also.
Huh.
So you
have
so you apply with your
percentiles, etc. Because that's people outside need to know. There's a lot of curiosity about that. What
so
percentiles they look at and what are profile things that they look at. Biggest question: 10, 12 देखते हैं कि नहीं?
so the thing is GMP में उतना transparent they don't tell us what
Okay.
they're going to look at. They'll have you fill everything, but so a lot of colleges will tell you specifically that this thing is worth 10%, this thing is worth 20%. GMP में they won't give you that breakdown.
Okay.
Especially क्योंकि लोगों का ऐसा है, if somebody is 40, उनके 10th 12th से उतना मतलब नहीं होगा.
Right, obviously नहीं होना चाहिए.
हाँ, right.
कितना ऑलरेडी काफी उन्होंने उसके लिए मार खाया होगा जिंदगी में.
हाँ, मतलब at that point उनकी credibility फिर अलग चीज है. So they do look at your XAT and GMAT. They look at your profile. हमारा भी जो batch है, and Ravi can also attest to it. We have a very मतलब there's a mix of all kinds of profiles. So there's a lot of people from IT. There's people from sales and marketing. There's people from the merchant navy. There's people from Accenture. There's people from Goldman Sachs.
There are police in our department.
Right. तो एक बात बताओ, ठीक है, XLRI does not tell you the criteria, but तुम लोग को anecdotal तो पता चल गया होगा ना, आपस में बात करके.
Anecdotal maybe it's sort of hard to tell क्योंकि आपका वो हो गया, उसके बाद this year they added the asynchronous.
But what kind of people made it? Somebody who had really bad academics at the start, started doing well in his job. उस तरह के लोग हैं वो ग्रुप में?
कुछ हाँ, there are people जिनका for example, obviously I cannot speak to the exact scores, but जिनको लगा कि हमारा GMAT सब optimal था, लेकिन जिनका GDPI काफी बढ़िया गया, जिनकी प्रोफाइल अच्छी थी. There are people who've gotten in not necessarily on the basis of their score also, just because their profile was good, they did their GDPI well.
Okay, and what about Z scores? What percentile? मतलब पहले तो कॉल आना चाहिए ना, उसके बाद ही GDPI करोगे.
Yeah. So for Z scores, I would say कि you will have to be above 80 percentile to get a call in GMP itself. But a lot of weightage, I guess, depends on the interview process itself. So
And the
Z
work
score is not that you will have to be 99 percentiler. You can be above 85, 90 around, and you can easily get a call if you have a good profile. So
Okay.
that's what they look for.
And what about GMAT? GMAT score range क्या है?
GMAT score का I think the median was about 670.
Okay.
जो चीज मुझे पता है, especially for the people who will be applying to GMP in the coming year, is that you are better off having taken the GMAT than the XAT.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There is preference given to, मतलब all things being equal, if you have a good GMAT score, that gets preference over a good XAT score.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what batch? What percentage of a batch? Again, anecdotal. How many of you came through the GMAT and?
So
What?
most of the people came from the XAT.
Most of the people came through that.
Most of the people.
Yeah, we can say 80-20 ratio. 80-20 ratio.
What was the batch
For
size?
95.
93.
93. Yeah, 93.
And boys girls ratio? What? Do a lot of women also come in?
है, but
Yeah.
थोड़ा सा skew है.
Okay.
मतलब in general that happens in a lot of programs that started changing now.
There's an issue with women also from in terms of family, etc. Even my batch, people who passed out of IIM Bangalore, they had to take a mid-career break for a couple of years or take a slightly lighter job than what we men could do.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that aspect remains in our society.
Yeah, but I would like to add that this current year is exceptional because of the COVID scenario. Like last year, we had around 34 or 35 female candidates out of 90 plus. But this year we have roughly around 18 candidates, women candidates. So COVID would have played a significant role.
So there's this question: what are the number of seats reserved for women executive MBA?
Okay.
So
there is no reservation as such, right, Ayush?
No,
there's reserved for women, but ये है कि if you are a female candidate, you will stand out more because the number of male candidates who apply is just, it's a higher number.
Yeah. If you're a female candidate and you're good, you'll automatically stand a good chance.
Exactly. You're going to stand out in that situation.
So now BMD का process बताओ, तुम लोग batch size and all. Both of you are BMD or there's HR guy also here? Anybody?
No, both of BMD.
Karthik, of course, I know you're BMD. Divya, are you also BMD?
Yeah, I'm also from BMD.
So tell me about the batch profile. And will you be able to speak about the HR also a little bit? Because there'll be, I think, quite a few people here who would want to know about XLRI HR. उतना तो पता ही होगा
I think, sir, as far as the process is there, it's pretty much same for BM and HR. Even the percentiles, I would say that people do say that you need a higher percentile for BM and such things, but at the end of the day, it doesn't work out like that. I didn't have such a great Z percentile, but still got through with bad accounts, by the way. Bad accounts, bad percentiles, still got through.
So what does the bad acad mean?
So mine was 977.
Acha.
If you come from 10th to the engineering, so that was 977. My percentile was I guess 97 point something, and at that I got into XLRI J. I don't know about Divya. I think Divya has a better percentile than me,
What about
but
you?
I was at lower end.
But the good thing about Excel is that they don't care much about percentile, because what I have interacted with people in Excel, that people are having varied range of percentile, and it's more about how you perform in GD and PI and the profile that you have built over the year that matters. So
GD
that is one.
Excel does not take GD, na? GD लेना है क्या आप लोग?
Yeah.
They take
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes, sir.
So there's a GD come written session. So they give you a piece of paper and they ask you to write your thoughts on it, and then just after that, in the same room, you have a GD.
Yeah.
So that paper acts as you write up.
We will come to that later, the interview part, etc. So what that percentiles have you encountered at at the batch?
I have encountered from 99.9x to 96. That is
Okay.
the range I've encountered in BM.
Okay.
HRM, you can say it goes as far as 95, maybe a few,
Okay.
but that's a rare case. Like I'm an outlier. Uh, it would be a distribution. I would be an outlier.
Yeah.
There are very few of me. They're more of on the. If you talk about the median percentile, it would be 99 or more than that. But with the cats, they are not very concerned. That's what I felt.
Okay.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah, Viraj, I'll take your question maybe in some other this thing. This is not a CAD session, so we will talk about that in a later session. And there'll be a lot of videos coming from my side on the CAD, etc. We have around 120 people now in the session. Okay, so now so basically that means that if I'm a average student and I'm scoring 97, 98 percentile, I can hope to get calls. And of course,
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Easily,
calls you can
easily.
expect very easily, and it was said that you can expect to get convert also. And so, as you're talking about HR or BM, it's more of a choice. Like as Karthik said, that people sometimes take HRM at various percentile, BM at various percentiles, mainly because of the interest. Because in the end, it's almost comparable. There's not much difference, I would say, and that was the case with many of us.
do engineers scan in for BM
So
for HR?
Yeah,
Yes,
a
yes,
lot.
they do.
Yes.
So how do you
A
answer
lot of
that question? Why HR? Because that's the number one question that I would ask an engineer if he's coming to an HR program. How did they
well,
answer that?
uh,
so if I could answer that, I also had the HR interview. I also had the BM interview.
Okay.
The thing is कि if you give any standardized answer and if everybody's saying the same thing, वो नहीं निकलता. Eventually, you have to find an answer that has some kernel of truth. आपको कहीं express करना पड़ेगा that I want to take HR because this part of it appeals to me. This is something I have experienced that makes me want to take it.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people when I went in for the HR one also, तो GD का जो होते हैं, whatever the 10 people are, so you'll sit and talk. So whoever the people are who have an insincere answer generally don't make it.
Right, right.
You
So
even
XLRI, you'll expect they'll look at the truth and they'll look at people who are true to themselves.
Yeah,
And they
like even
I mean, the pros must be experts at finding that out.
yeah,
and
they
they
get to
don't ask questions. So like I gave almost 15-20 interviews for various B schools, and what this different I found in XLRI interviews that they didn't ask me specifically why BM, why HR, why XLRI. They asked very subtle questions. So like when I entered, they asked me that what are people talking about us outside the panel room, and in that question they judged me a lot. So that question went on for 10-15 minutes, and in that I don't know what they exactly found out in me, but in Excel interviews they, as Ayush rightly mentioned, they look for who you are essentially. They are not expecting prepared answers as such.
Okay.
and
Okay, so yeah.
so out of all of the interviews that I sat for, Excel is the one. Usually, it goes on for longer than a lot of the others, and they will probe you very deeply on
So how
things.
long was the actual interview?
I
Normal.
think it went on for maybe 20-25 minutes, but it feels much longer.
Yeah, for me it
Yeah.
went for 35 minutes.
Yeah,
It
and for
feels
me, it was a totally different case. It was close around 50 minutes interview on various aspects of my career itself, because all it was like my career, especially in BM interview as well. They grilled me entirely on my career aspects, what I did, how I did. They wanted to get into my projects as if they were experts of those projects. So I was grilled on my career aspect itself, and close to about 50 minutes.
Karthik dropped off. There's a question for you, Karthik. Karthik,
yes.
from what according to you worked for for you profile wise, despite having lower ACADS? 977
Yeah.
is pretty average.
So I would what I would suggest is getting good work ex. So what I feel worked for me was that I had worked for a MNC right out of college with PwC, and straight out of that I worked for 3 years for a startup. So I had in total 4 years of work ex.
Okay.
And at one point that was a concern for me whether I was too old for a MBA program because the average age of the batch is a bit less.
Okay.
Uh, But
what is
yeah, I think that
let's come to that question actually. So 4 years work-ex, 5 years work-ex, do you go for GMP or do you still go for BMD?
I say till 4 years you can go for BM. We have people with 5 years in BM program. So
Okay.
even 6 years also, one or two kids are there.
They will not be
With,
kids.
yeah, one or two batchmates or
Yeah.
professionals.
मेरे साथ ये हुआ था when I went in for my BM interview. They told me कि तुम्हारा इतना वर्क एक्सपीरियंस है, तुम्हें GMP के लिए जाना चाहिए. And for my GMP interview, they were like, अरे तुम्हारा एग्जैक्ट स्कोर ये है, तुम्हें BM के लिए जाना चाहिए.
Exactly.
हाँ,
Same story for me.
तो क्या
हाँ,
बोला?
they were basically they were तुम्हें तो दूसरे वाले के लिए जाना चाहिए, तुम तो परफेक्ट बैठोगे वहाँ पे.
तो इधर बोला हो कि 2 साल का MBA करना है, उधर बोला हो 1 साल करना है. नहीं
सर आपको दे दो.
But Karthik rightly mentioned this point. So like it turns out that all of us are above 4 years. Mine is also 4.5 years of work experience. And this is also another thing that is different in that they don't, I guess, give weightage to that thing. So like a lot of MBA colleges reject on the basis that if you have above certain work experience that you are not allowed or something like that. But in XLRI, it's a mixed batch. In like BM, we are having people from 0 work ex to 5 or 6 years of work ex. So that is also.
Are there? What are the batch size and freshers? The number of people who are fresh. 2 people with
40%, I guess. 30 to 40%.
They are freshers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-engineers at the batch?
Will be less, I guess. Again, 30-40%.
Same. Exactly.
But that would be a reflection of the number of people taking the ZAD also, I guess. More engineers would be.
Yeah, so actually you're right on that note that it depends on the pool also. Also, one thing that Divya said, that the batch as a whole is not bucketed when they're doing selections. Like ISB and other colleges, they bucket you.
Also buckets it.
Male,
BCom people, or they bucket those.
Yeah, so I felt that they did not do it. They take you as an individual and they actually take the time to evaluate you. Even the interview process, I think my BM interview went for 45 minutes.
I remember you had BM and HR, na? Both of them you had.
I had both HR and BM. HR में तो they are like, why are you here वाला question था. What is wrong? नहीं साफ पता चल रहा नहीं interested हो. And the same thing, standardized answers, because you cannot come up with those answers on your own. Even you're not really interested in it. So that is another thing that people should really start building their narratives. Sir also used to tell us that build your narratives or start working on your interviews, and we waited till last moment only. But that's the thing that you should really do.
You should do from the start actually. It should be
one day. They in Excel interview make sorry.
मेरे पास लोग आते हैं सर 15 दिन बाद इंटरव्यू तैयारी कर रहे थे. I said कि I'm not wasting my time with you. I'm ready to spend time with the person who's going to go and interview 12 months later. Because then I can actually make him change the questions that will be asked.
Yeah, because as I also mentioned that in the Excel interview, they don't directly ask you question. They make you so comfortable in first 20-30 minutes that you become very friendly with them. And then they will ask you very subtle questions, in which you have to reflect what you exactly feel. You can't prepare for those questions.
I think
they will talk about life and stuff, and it'll be all so cheery.
Getting the best out of you, I guess.
Yeah. And adding to what you also said, sir, and what Divya also said, कि जो behavioral questions होते हैं, why do you want to do an MBA, etc., those you can prepare. They will go off onto a current affairs या general knowledge topic which you will not be prepared for. Last year जब हमारे interviews हुए, तो CAA was a hot topic. They didn't ask that. They asked me about the demographic dividend, which is an important general knowledge topic, but it's not उस time का hot topic नहीं था. So
not the top 5 topics you'll prepare for.
So somebody who starts preparing, to add to what you said, somebody who starts preparing 10-15 days before the interview will not have the depth of knowledge to be able to answer that. You either bluff, which they'll catch you on, or you will say I don't know. Neither, which is ideal. So behavioral तो फिर भी हो सकता है, पर XLRI में especially current affairs कहीं ना कहीं से आएगा ही आएगा.
Acha, is that a trend in all interviews?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
they get
Yeah.
into it somehow or
And
the other. Yeah.
And
I think as a whole, one should be a bit well-read before going into the interview, at least with the recent things, because somewhere or the other it might turn up, and why ruin your chances because of something? तो थोड़ा पहले से अगर तैयारी कर सकते हो, अगर टाइम है, जैसे अभी है टाइम, बहुत अच्छा खासा टाइम है,
Hmm.
तो अभी से
And
थोड़ा
again,
थोड़ा भी करोगे तो मैनेज हो जाता है.
वो भी they'll twist it around to actually test you on whether last year जैसे CA का था, HR में मेरे से पूछा what is your opinion, then their next question was कि अगर अच्छा ठीक है, अगर XLRI में किसी प्रोफेसर के अगेंस्ट ऐसे प्रोटेस्ट हो जाती है and you are part of the management, what would you do? Now that is not general knowledge, but you need to have an opinion, you need to have an informed opinion on the subject to be able to answer that question.
yeah.
But that to the point that XLRI is the only Indian B school or only Indian exam that has that section called decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Requires you to think
Also-
out of the box completely.
Also
Yeah,
GK.
so
Other B
I would
exams
also-
don't have
रहता
GK.
है, IFT में भी रहता है GK and
Oh,
other
yeah.
exams have it.
So I would like to add a point here that decision making is like one of the critical aspects, especially in exam also. Like it's one of the scoring sections also.
How do you
But
prepare for it? Of course, I have my own views about that, which I keep telling my fan club
Yeah.
and my followers. But I would like to hear from you guys. How
okay,
did you
so for
prepare? DM is one
so
section that can actually help you crack the exam completely.
yeah,
I think
yeah, absolutely.
Changes everything.
35 marks you need to get 35 to 40 for
Mhm.
that. Getting through, that's right.
This is
Yeah,
percentile.
Yeah.
Get the
34 to
90
36.
percentile range.
For they were, what was the 99 percentile last year? I think
Yeah,
at
so I got 99.95 and my score was 36 point, I
36.
guess, 4.
That includes the
36.4.
GK.
Sorry?
That included
No.
GK.
No, sir.
No, no, sir.
including
GK is not
GK
included.
is a separate section.
अच्छा 36.25 पे 99.95 आया था. That means
Yeah.
you are one of the top 100 people, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And आप लोग का क्या था मतलब कार्तिकेय, what was your score at 30?
My score was, I think, some 26, 27, I guess. I'm not really sure on the number, but ऐसे ही था, 26-27 number थे.
So people who
Yeah.
are going for that this year, if they score 35 plus or they target 35, that's a great score to have.
Yes,
35
based.
But
Of course, it
as you
depends
mentioned,
on difficulty level.
that other than just the score, so I know a lot of friends of mine who scored above 98 percentile, but they didn't get a call because they didn't clear the sectional cutoff of DM. So that is a very critical part because DM is a section that people generally don't prepare, as you said, that other exams don't have that. So quant and verbal people.
I was that person in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't clear the cutoff.
And also,
मेरा overall percentile was 97th. Decision making sectional नहीं clear हुआ मेरा.
and that is tricky because we don't have sectional time limit in that. So people generally tend to like flow with quant and verbal.
So that's one thing that, when I talk about strategy to my students, I tell them that you have to have, in exams where there's no sectional time limit, that is a very critical component of your strategy of how you want to take this exam. Because you want to first divide the time on the basis of number of marks, number of questions, and then you also want to divide time basis. You want to change those numbers a little bit based on what your strong sections are and what your weak sections are. So you want to reduce the time on the weak sections without having the problem of not clearing the cutoff. So what did you guys do in your strategies in terms of time division?
So, sir,
So my
for me,
strategy,
it was
go on.
okay. So for me, it was like I had to like gain upon my like correct section, my strength itself.
This is getting a fan club now. 99.9. And how much did you get in CAT is the question. Natural follow-up question to that.
Yeah, I got 99.8 in CAT.
Okay, great.
Okay. So for me, it was like gain the momentum of my strength itself, which was mostly DM, because as sir said, what strategy we should follow for DM, the only holy grail for DM at my preparation was past 10 years of that paper. That's it. And that too, don't solve it all at once. Take time to assess what was wrong, why the particular question, if you did wrong, was wrong, and you can get plenty of explanations. And if you're not clear, then go about it, ask your teachers or mentors, whoever can clear those doubts. And yeah, time management, according to me, was the most crucial element in that, because I was never confident in like reading comprehension, and I used to spend like the least time over there, because I thought that okay, reading passages would help me clear the cutoff for verbal section itself, which is verbal and logical, right? So in case of that,
Yeah, verbal and logical ability they call it. Although
yeah.
more it was
And
like the VRC section only
yeah,
of CAT.
but it has got a good mix of various types of questions. Like there
Yeah,
is a poem, there is a, yeah, there can be words which they can test you on. So for me, VARC was like, okay, I should get the minimum cutoff in this section only, and I should focus on the rest too. Amongst which DM was like very easy to be done with for me, and quant was like scoring, especially DI section, which is traditional and scoring if you get the calculations right. So I would say if you want to focus on quant, do DI first if calculation is your strong bit, and then you can move on to traditional arithmetic or geometric questions if you prefer.
Yeah,
But
in fact, even from my point of view, I could see that if you can do the 2 sets of DI that they ask you normally, two or 3 sets hote hain maximum, 8 questions
yeah,
maximum, between 6 to 8 questions out of the 28 questions in quant section, and sectional cutoff would be at what, 10?
yeah, close about that, 10, 10.5.
Yeah, close to that.
Sectional cutoff means what, 85 percentile in the section, or
80,
more?
I think 80,
It's
85.
80.
It's different for different sections, sir.
Yeah.
So how much?
Generally for quant, it's on a higher end, sometimes
Mhm.
going up to 90 also in some
Acha,
years.
Yeah,
okay,
but last year it was 85, 80, 80.
85.
Yeah,
okay. So if you score 85 percentile, you are over the sectional cutoff.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And what are the numbers for the C sections? 10, 10 and a half. Quants, if I'm aiming, I should look at a 10 mark, this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quant is
7, 8, I
usually on the
think.
higher side.
Yeah.
So बहुत simple है ना, दो DI खत्म कर लो. If you get strong at DI में तो सब कुछ
Yeah,
वहीं दिया रहता है. You just have to solve it.
yeah,
yeah,
So 8
yeah.
marks here
ZDI is not tough. ZDI is generally very your regular out of the book DI kind of
traditional kind
things.
of DI. Yes.
The
Mhm.
The
one
certain
Yeah.
difference
you can calculate.
I've seen
Hmm.
between the CAT and the XAT is the CAT will test you a lot more on prior knowledge. ये अगर आपके मतलब स्कूलिंग के मैथ के कॉन्सेप्ट्स स्ट्रांग हैं, अगर आपको चीजें याद हैं, you will do much better on the CAT. The XAT will test you more on analysis at that point.
yeah.
Right.
So that is less knowledge focused.
So we now have
And
around
also
160
time
people
management.
on YouTube. Right. So one in fact, talking about that, I remember a very interesting set. I don't know when it was. I think it was 10, 12, 15 years ago. In the ZAT, there's a very interesting decision-making set, which talked about how MBA entrance students are getting coached, and then what should a B school do so that they don't get the coached people and they get the actual intelligence out of the people. So there's a beautiful, beautiful DM set based on that.
Yes,
And
sir.
I've always
Yes.
respected. I mean, I've always told people that matlab, I don't see the reason why a lot of people don't give ZAT. That's such a tragedy because I think
Yeah.
1/4 of the people drop out in the ZAT. More than half the people. I'm told it's around 50, 60,000 people who take the ZAT against 2 lakh in the CAT.
70,000. Yeah,
70,000.
70,000. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
So I would always advocate to my students कि exam देना है तो CAT और ZAT दोनों का तैयारी करो, because if you don't get to IIM ABC, you're putting all your baskets, all your eggs in IIM basket, and then you don't get there. So you get to XLRI, you got the same careers. I mean,
Yeah, and the worst part is that I feel that there are these forums where people are spreading rumors and misinformation, especially when we were also preparing. I used to go on these forums and I used to read, अरे इस परसेंटाइल के ऊपर तो होता ही नहीं है, या यहाँ तो होता ही नहीं है, या ये कैट्स तो चाहिए ही चाहिए, यहाँ से नहीं हो तो ऐसा हो जाएगा, वहां से हो तो वैसा हो जाएगा.
कार्तिक को
तो
पोस्टर
वो
बोर्ड पर 977 लिख देंगे वहां पे.
तो वो
all those people who are acads के मारे हुए, they will have that belief कि वो कर सकता है तो मैं भी कर सकता हूँ.
तो I find this very weird because I used to think to myself, यार ये तो हो ही चुका है, अब इसमें तो अब कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता, अब आगे का तो कोई बता दो क्या करना है, सब यहीं पे गाड़ी रोक देते हो. So that's
Very
the
true.
issue with all these things. That's why most of the people get demoralized by the time that comes. in
It's actually a second bite at the apple. It saves you 1 year completely. Otherwise, you're gone for the next cat. If you
And
want to-
placements wise, and if you're just going for a placement for an MBA, and not like me because I went in for a career change, and अगर सिर्फ उसके लिए जा रहे हो आप तो it's a very good opportunity. सी के टक्कर के आपको placement मिलती है. So
मेरे को
some
in fact,
people
look at
might not
that,
agree, but
when I was passing, I did not get through the ZAT exam when I gave my first attempt. CAT का तो मेरे को आगे था चारों calls. So ABCL ही था. That time the pecking order in the top 4 was A, C, XL and B. XL was number 3 at that time. This thing. अब ठीक है, P has taken the IIM brand name and the advantage of being in Bangalore, which is a huge advantage. To now become A versus B, वो Calcutta को पीछे छोड़ दिया है. In that sense, but I think if you're looking at ABC, you should also look at XL. Maybe a couple of more colleges, Jamnalat, Bajaj, and FMS, but I think they are the top 6 definitely. And this thing. So one question is XLRI Jamshedpur. Somnil has asked this question. You guys can see this question, no? XLRI Jamshedpur versus.
Yeah.
So you guys
XL,
can
yes.
see these questions.
Okay, this is a toughie. So Delhi campus is new, guys. Okay, so no matter what anybody says, what I say, it's gonna have its teething problems. But it's under the Excel banner, so it will take some time, but it will come around because the profs are same. And especially we are noticing that to help them get up, a lot of support is going from Jamshedpur. And this being online for the first year, everything has been streamlined in a way that both campuses are running at equal level.
So what are the batch size?
Campus-
Delhi?
75, I guess.
Delhi batch size?
75, yeah.
75.
Currently it's 75, yeah.
And what programs are offered at Delhi?
BM. Only
BM
BM.
only.
Only BM. Okay.
Mhm.
And I mean, I always tell people that मतलब ये सब नया campus है and all this thing सोच के you should not pass it by, because two things.
Exactly.
One is it's not like XLRI, when XLRI opens a campus or IIM Bangalore opens a new campus somewhere, it's not like a coaching institute opening a campus, right? कि
Yeah.
चलेगा तो चला देंगे नहीं तो बंद कर देंगे, right? So there's a lot of commitment. There's a lot of financial. This I was having a meeting with the IIM Bangalore. Was connecting to all the alumni. So I was in one of these meetings last week. So they were talking about setting up a liberal arts campus for IIM Bangalore. And they were talking about a commitment of 800 crore rupees. उतना हम लोग generate करना है before we start set it up. So it is not like कि एक classroom बना देते हैं और वहाँ देखते हैं student आ जाएंगे तो चला देंगे like coaching institutes do. So one is that, and then second is, I mean, once an Excel brand is attached, maybe XLRI Delhi, and this has been this thing that I've seen, and this is something I would like to talk about to endorse XLRI Delhi. That when I was going into, in fact, this is story most B schools. 80s, mein nobody wanted to go to IIM Bangalore. 70s, mein nobody wanted to go to IIM Bangalore because there was an old IIM. There was a new IIM. Because IIM Bangalore got set up in 73, and Ahmedabad and Calcutta got set up in 60s. So imagine somebody who took that call कि चलो मैं चला जाता हूँ Bangalore, and did MBA from IIM Bangalore in 78 to 80 batch. Now when he built his career, IIM Bangalore obviously rose up. His career would have been from 1980 to 2020, 40-year career in corporate sector, let's say. तो from 1990 पहले 3-4 साल लोग बोलते होंगे अच्छा बैंगलोर से अहमदाबाद कलकत्ता खराब है, अच्छा है ये खराब है. But by the time it was 1990-92, 10 years into his career, who would know कि 1978 में क्या perspective था?
That's true.
So it's for all the students listening. Now we have got over 200 people in the session. So for all those people listening, it's a very good opportunity actually to hitch on to a brand. ठीक है, percentile में कुछ difference है क्या XLRI Delhi versus Jamshedpur?
No. It's a mixed batch in Delhi and mixed batch in Jamshedpur. We're having odd percentiles in Delhi
So do
campus.
they ask you a preference or they just put you in one of those batches?
No,
They
it's
ask
more
you
about
preference
your preference.
and
Yeah,
it's,
you have to
according
apply
to a
separately. Yeah, you have to select that you have to apply for Judge Ranjan.
So slightly higher percentile at Jamshedpur or is the same?
No, it's not like that. That is what I'm saying. So there are people above 99.5 percentile in Delhi batch as well, and there are people from various percentiles in Jamshedpur as well. It's more of how we perform in GD and PA.
Okay.
So that was a point that I was trying to make earlier as well. So XLRI gives you chance on every step. So if you get good percentile, then you have to perform in GT, then you have to perform in PI, and that's how they analyze you, and not just on the past records as well. So like Karthik is having 977, I am having 887, and I'm also in XLRI, right? So that clearly says that academics are not like stop that XLRI puts on you.
Right. It gives you a chance. Believes it gives you a chance. So
We have a very diverse bunch of batchmates. We have people from UPSC also. So the fan club that I had, Vaibhav Vandoja, that guy has cleared UPSC twice. He's from IIT Bombay, then IIT Delhi. Then he cleared two UPSC twice, and then he decided to do an MBA.
okay.
He could not
Okay.
make it to the interviews, so he was here. But
Okay.
but that's the kind of we have a doctor in our batch, a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So pretty diverse. So that कौन सी
variety
कोई
of
advice?
people.
I think first advice तो DI कर लो अच्छे से उसका नहीं.
Yeah, sure.
एक बार
First
कभी
thing,
set
DI.
difficult आ जाता है. One set might be very difficult at times, but otherwise it's normally doable.
Yeah, DI is usually doable. Yeah. And post that, you should pick questions like in order. That once you see 15 seconds rule, I followed that. After reading a question, I gave 15 seconds to it. And it might vary from person to person. If anything doesn't click in that 15 seconds, I would leave that question and move to the next question, because every question can't be done right in this time frame, because
You don't need to do it.
yeah, because
कैसे आ जाएंगे?
yeah, as Divya said, he has a 99.9x, right? So and he has 36 score out of 72, right? So even less than half of the score can fetch you a 99 percentile. So you don't need to focus on each and every question. Capitalize on your strength in quants too. Like don't think कि okay ego पे मत लो कि solve करना ही करना है, मेरे से होता था अब हम करके रहेंगे. That is a mistake.
Leave a lot of because anyway,
this is a
you're
very
taking the 8 questions of DI.
बहुत time
And you get
रहता है that में.
20
this is a very
questions in quants, you're done. 14-15
Yeah.
marks cool है.
yeah. Very valid thing that Ravi has said कि ego पे मत लो, because you are not competing against the exam, you are only competing against everybody else. तो अगर कोई क्वेश्चन तुमसे नहीं होता, तुम नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन कर लो, उसका नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन कर लो. A lot of people, मतलब a lot of people that I've met go in with a board exam mentality कि हमें सारा करना है और हमसे नहीं हो रहा तो कुछ कमी रह रही है. You are competing with everybody else. 50% पे you have a very, very comfortable percentile.
Yeah.
At the same time, the time that you're jeopardizing while doing that question is not only limited to that particular section. So if you are spending 5 minutes in a quant question, you are essentially compromising your verbal percentile as well. And if you somehow waste time in that, then end of the day, you are not getting a call. So you have to manage overall time as well. Because in CAT, what happens is that if you are just wasting time in, say, quant section, then you can be more cautious in the next hour when you are attempting another section, and then you can compensate that. But here, if you are wasting time, then you're gone.
So coming back to the sectional time planning strategy, what is your individual strategies about this act?
For me, it was more of like I thought that I'll attempt at least 10 mark questions in every section so that I clear the sectional cutoff clearly, and then I will come back to other questions. So as Ravi said, that you have a hunch when you are reading the question that I'll get this or not. If you think that you can do it, just do it. Attempt at least 10 marks in all the sections so that your sectional cutoff is sorted. You are at least getting a call from XLRI. Now you increase your chances of converting the call.
DM में sectional cutoff कितना expected रहता है? कितना रहता है normally?
DM it's usually 10, 11, right?
10.5, 11, 12-ish.
50% पे out of 21 questions.
Yeah, out of 21. Last year it was 21, right?
This will be 21 here. So 50% is
Last
the
year,
cutoff.
another funny thing had happened. Did it happen to you guys at your centers? They came to our center, they announced that there was no negative marking. So I almost attempted the whole paper. Except barring 2-3 questions, I attempted the whole paper. And when I came out, they said that there was negative marking, and I had gone to that after CAT with a vengeance, like ये तो करके आना है. मैं तो एकदम मैं तो depressed हो गया था कि भाई इसने तो शहीद हो गए.
Respect to you for clearing the exam.
उस एंगल से मुझे historically I have tracked the ZAT for 20 years. तो मेरे को 2-3 fiascos याद हैं ZAT के. Maybe you can give this feedback to your Excel profs about एक fiasco मेरे को आया था, एक misprint था, मतलब read the I mean paper pen test, see the graph, read the graph carefully on the next page and answer the questions that follow. So you went to the next page, there's no graph. ठीक है? There's no graph. That was one. And the other one was I think I don't remember which year it was. Maybe around 2000 2001. Zad did the first experiment of going online much before CAT, around 7-8 years before CAT went online. और क्या हुआ था कि some agency, I heard anecdotal again कि कोई Excel के passed out students की agency थी, who said कि all exams are going to go online, and उन्होंने presentation दिया इन लोगों को अच्छा, और presentation setup हो गया तो ये लोग decide कर लिए कि इस साल का Zad online होगा. उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि ऑनलाइन था तो chaos था पूरा. फर्स्ट टाइम एन ऑनलाइन कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग ऑफ 50,000 पीपल टेकिंग द दैट. तो उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि सपोज समबडी गिव प्रेफरेंस कि मेरे को ये सेंटर चाहिए, किसी को सेंटर का प्रेफरेंस नहीं मिला. ठीक है. सो आई एट दैट टाइम आई वाज इन पटना टीचिंग स्टूडेंट्स देयर. तो मेरे पटना के स्टूडेंट्स पे दे हैड लाइक लिटरली ऑल भारत दर्शन वाला था. किसी का चेन्नई का सेंटर था, किसी तो 3 दिन में ट्रेन में चेन्नई गया. ठीक है. एंड नेक्स्ट डे मॉर्निंग दैट इज गोइंग टू देयर. मेरा स्टूडेंट था, ही इज प्रीटी सीनियर नाउ इन द कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर, एचआर कोर्स करता था निशांत मिहिर. तो ही वाज एट एक्सेल एट दैट टाइम. तो ही कॉल्ड मी वन नाइट बिफोर, द नाइट बिफोर, कि सर कल दैट नहीं हो रहा है. तो क्या हुआ? तो सर सर्वर क्रैश कर गया यहाँ पे एंड दे आर गोइंग टू कैंसिल इट टुमारो मॉर्निंग. सो कल सुबह लोग सेंटर में पहुंचे, 3 दिन ट्रेन में जाके चेन्नई पहुंचे और चेन्नई के बंदे को पटना दे दिया था. So it was like all over the place and everybody came back, and then I don't think they tried an online for the next 10 years or so. So this have been two this thing. So Kartike's personal experience adds to that. But I think otherwise, apart from that, I have always respected the ZAD exam, because I mean in quants you can pick up a question from ZAD and put it into CAT, and pick up a question from CAT and put it there. You will not know the difference. मतलब अगर सीटी मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन उठा के तुम कैट में, या एफटी का भी क्वेश्चन उठा के कैट में डाल दो, 3 क्वेश्चन और क्वेश्चन वहां डाल दो, समझ में आता है कि ये क्वेश्चन बहुत आसान था. दैट यू डोंट फील दैट डिफरेंस. इट्स ऑलमोस्ट दैट फीलिंग. एंड देन व्हाट अबाउट वर्बल का क्या स्ट्रेटजी होना चाहिए? दैट्स आल्सो लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आस्किंग.
Verbal में my strategy was कि
Gaurav is asking this question.
My strategy for verbal was कि so I had a very aggressive strategy in verbal, because मुझे था कि ठीक है, if there's whatever 26-27 questions, I wanted to attempt at least 22-23 मेरे को करने थे. Because what happens in verbal in a lot of questions is that you can narrow it down to about 2 options. If you can narrow it down to 2 options, you attempt.
And in fact, that's one of the thumb rules, because that peculiar negative marking scenario in that of -0.1 for non-attempted questions.
So -0.1. So this is my personal opinion. जो -0.1 for non-attempted questions है, उससे उतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You are better off not attempting and losing that -0.1 than attempting.
But when you're down to 2 options, you should attempt, no? Because it'll give you a 3-4 marks extra.
If you're down to 3 options and you have a gut feel about one, you attempt.
Because you look at it that way, मतलब कुछ भी करो, 8 क्वेश्चन तो छूट ही जाएंगे तुम्हारे पेपर में.
उतने जो छूट भी जाएं, जो -0.1 है उससे उतना फर्क
पे आ गए कि 2 पे आ गए. हाँ. So when you come to a question where you are on 2 between 2 options, let's say there are 10 such questions. If you don't attempt them, you are at -1 marks net. और तुमने उसमें attempt और 3 भी correct है और 7 गलत है, मतलब you had a bad day. So you are at 2.25 marks.
Exactly. कुछ तो ऐसे which will know.
तो अगर तुमको 25 आ रहा है, जैसे generally saying my scores are not crossing 24. So if somebody is getting 24 and she gets 3 marks because she takes this strategy, तो 27 पहुंच जाएगा score.
हाँ.
Does that work? Because this is something I've done.
But it worked for me. मुझे ये था कि especially verbal में
कुछ question work कर गया obviously. नहीं? कार्तिक, for you it worked obviously.
फुल एक्यूरेसी के साथ 2 पेपर अनसेंट मार्क करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. 0.1 वाला रूल भूल जाओ कि एग्जिस्ट भी करता है. एज सिंपल एज दैट. डोंट लेट इट बॉदर यू एट ऑल.
बट वो स्ट्रेटजी ले लो कि दो अटेम्प्ट 2 ऑप्शन में आगे तो मार्क कर दो.
हाँ, मतलब 2 में कर सकते हैं. 2 में कर सकते हैं. उससे ज्यादा नहीं. उससे ज्यादा फिर देन थिंग्स गो आउट ऑफ हैंड वेरी फास्ट.
Yeah.
And हाँ
But
इसके
then
आगे
there is some.
तुम्हारा ओवरऑल
Yeah,
पेपर कैसा है? अगर तुम्हारे दो करके तुम अटेम्प्ट ही अगर 8-10 कर रहे हो देन इट्स ओके टू बी अ लिटिल बिट मोर अग्रेसिव. अगर तुम्हारे 18-19 हो रहे हैं देन यू डोंट नीड टू रिस्क एनीथिंग. दैट आई एग्री विद कार्तिक. इवन जो -0.1 वाला रूल है दैट इज जस्ट देयर टू
गिमिक है वो, अनॉय करने के लिए, बस भूल जाओ, कुछ नहीं है.
हाँ भूल जाओ, बट जस्ट वो वाला स्ट्रेटजी अडॉप्ट कर लो कि कैट में छोड़ भी देते थे तुम 2 ऑप्शन में, यहाँ पे छोड़ना मत, मार्क कर दो.
अब जो अगर ऐसी फीलिंग आ रही है कट ऑफ ही नहीं क्लियर होगी एंड यू आर फीलिंग दैट द पैसेजेस आर नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट एंड यू आर गेटिंग कंफ्यूज्ड, देन गो फॉर इट, क्योंकि डिफिकल्टी भी कई बार वेरी कर जाती है. तो वो भी एक इशू रहता है.
XLRI कभी बहुत मुश्किल पेपर होता था और कभी एकदम आसान पेपर किया है. there's a huge variance in the papers in XLRI sometime.
Yeah.
So English का क्या स्ट्रेटजी है फिर? आरसी तो काफी टफ रहता है.
रीड प्रिपरेशन स्ट्रेटजी तो वही है, रीड and no techniques. Please don't follow the techniques that people teach of fast reading and all that. नहीं फायदा होता कुछ लाइफ में. Just read as much as you can whenever you can.
1992 में I discovered कि reading fast, how to read better and faster, and all those things are useless. They don't work.
Very.
You have to stick to the basics, stick to your strengths. RCs में, a lot of the RCs में, they'll give you a very difficult RC and keep the question simple.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will get intimidated by the language in a very difficult RC.
Okay, so that is one question I want to ask you. The options are not so close. The cat is now very close between 2-3 options.
Exactly. They'll do this where they'll give you a poem in like 18th century English, but they'll give you very simple options. लोग क्या करेंगे, वो poem देख के पढ़ेंगे ही नहीं.
So essentially, when I was
be catch कर लो a couple of questions, right?
When I was preparing for my
हाँ वो poem का एक
somebody
क्वेश्चन कर दो ना, 2-3 होंगे तो एक कर दो, खत्म.
Sharwani said, I'm able to solve all questions in verbal, but I'm doing almost equivalent right and wrong. What to do at this point? 1 week context में. So Karthik, your advice of read won't work now. So what can somebody do in the last 1 week?
I would suggest practice as many mocks as possible. Mini mocks, whatever, wherever you can pick up RC, practice it. Try to reread, try to analyze what you've been doing wrong. It's very generic what I'm saying, but that's the only way actually. Otherwise, there are people who tell a lot of techniques, but at the end, this one pans out.
So adding to what Karthik is saying,
exactly. You should know why you chose it.
I did one thing differently, and that was that I used to keep a track at that what is my accuracy level at different attempts. So if I am attempting 100% questions, what is the accuracy? If I am attempting 50% questions, what is the accuracy? For me, it was almost consistent, but there were a few friends of mine who used to have more accuracy when they attempt less. So like Shravani is asking that if they are attempting 100%, but still the accuracy is not correct, so maybe they can try to attempt less questions. So this varies with different people, but you have to have a quantitative number in your mind that what is the accuracy that you are getting on your attempts.
I can also give Sharwani a more specific answer. अगर 26 क्वेश्चन हैं और आपके 13 सही हो रहे हैं और 13 गलत हो रहे हैं, you are getting a score of 9 out of 26. That is the score that you're getting. I had a 32% in 32 percentage. एग्जैक्ट के पेपर में जो परसेंटेज भी लिखी आती है, I had a 32% 98th percentile in verbal. अगर आपका 9 आ रहा है out of 26, then stick to what you're doing. It's working out for you.
Yeah, that's also
okay.
98th percentile, don't change anything.
And I would like to add one thing from someone's perspective who is not that well versed with VARC. So just keep on doing like small mocks, like the mini mocks which are there. Keep practicing them and try to figure out that which question or which passage you are comfortable with. First of all, like if you are in the last 10 days of preparation and you are doubtful, I did that. I picked up mini mocks of VARC and attempted only those questions which I was sure of that I could get this right. And yes, for that I had a good reading speed because like sir always focused on this: read as much as you can, as much as variety as you can in the long run, because Yeah, because although these 10 days can do much of difference in terms of strategy, but the long run is what matters. But really, you should figure out what questions you are comfortable with. That's what worked for me. I was average in VARC and I scored good. So I would say, yeah, that should be one.
And
So what is
the
the
Adding
strategy?
to
Mark everything, solve everything, or solve a little bit less?
No, sir. So in VARC, I was like, okay, if I'm comfortable with poem, then I would solve the questions, else I would leave it. Because there are variety of questions in VARC, in ZAT especially, unlike CAT. So that helped me score a few marks in a few areas where others would not like venture into. Say, if there is a vocabulary-based questions, I could attempt that, but and score over there rather than attempting a tough RC. So that was my approach. If I read an RC and I'm comfortable with only one question, I would do only one. I would not try to guess mark other questions because for me, what worked was I read pretty fast, so that helped me over there.
Okay, tell me one discrepancy I see in what we are discussing is we are talking about 10 marks as the sectional cutoff.
Yeah,
So if somebody does the sectional cutoffs on all the 3 sections, he's getting 30 marks.
yeah.
yeah.
But only on the
Not
section.
30, sir. It would be different. For VARC, it would be 7, 8. It's always lesser than 10, generally. I don't know about you guys. क्या यही trend रहता है
10 should be a target, but I think 7-8 पे भी clear हो जाता है क्या?
Clear
Yes, sir.
हो
Yes,
जाता
sir. Yes, sir.
DM नहीं होता होगा, DM नहीं
है।
होता है.
VARC बहुत टफ होता है एक्चुअली दैट काफी ज्यादा क्योंकि वो पोएम आती है एंड देन पीपल द वोकैबुलरी इज आल्सो क्वाइट
Black
नाइसली
Swan,
पुट
Black Lake, I remember that poem. तो पहली बार मैं भी
हाँ
पढ़ा
वो पढ़ के छोड़ती रहती थी
Yeah.
overall,
4 बार
in
मेरे
the
को
Yeah,
पढ़ना पड़ा. तुम लोग के साल ही आया था ना? तुम लोग के
हाँ
पेपर में था ना Black Swan, Black Lake.
Yeah.
ब्लैक
Yeah.
I
समथिंग
think.
ऐसे
2019 or 20, yeah.
तुम लोग प्रॉस से
But then
पूछना
again,
इस
as
पितापस
Ayush said, that poem was not that difficult. It was like poem was difficult. It was a kind of a tricky question that you just read it and you leave it. But if you read the questions, it was very easy to attempt.
Yeah, this was easy. That's true.
So unknown to
as
everybody, Divya is a poet. So this must have been easy for him.
अच्छा, by the way, is Pitabas Mohanty is still teaching there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
He's
yes.
he's
He's
good
a
friend of
film faculty.
मतलब we were on the same block, same floor in fact for 1 year. He was doing his FPM, so he was senior to me, and he was मतलब third or fourth year of his FPM at that time. And he's also on Facebook with me, so do say hi to him from my side. Right?
Sure.
Sure,
I'll
sure.
also bring him and say hi. Right. So this question comes from Amaya. Has any one of you left Blackie for Excel? I think a lot of people leave KI for Excel definitely, and maybe
A lot
also
of people leave here.
L
A
also.
lot of people leave C also, sir. Actually, I feel
So-
Excel is much better than C.
Yeah, I believe the picking order is still Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and then Excel or Calcutta. This is the order. Yeah.
FMS.
Yeah.
FMS
That's it.
sir fits in because of the fee. That factor is a big deal.
He's the clinching deal in FMS.
People might leave B also for FMS because
Yeah.
of that major advantage.
L for Excel.
Yeah. So I think that कौन मेरी बुक से पढ़ लो. I think और क्या करोगे? And pass your paper, I guess.
हाँ सर की
Right?
बुक भाई वो बाकी लोग भी वहीं से क्वेश्चन निकाल के देते हैं
Right. So I think a lot of people are. Yash says, "Thank you for this. Feeling relaxed after this." Chill out करो यार. There's no need to be this thing. You are in a good generation. मतलब I tell people, मेरे पास कोई अगर बहुत दुखी आत्मा आता है ना, दुखी स्टूडेंट की जिंदगी बहुत प्रॉब्लमेटिक है और ये मैं उसको बोलता हूँ तुम एक काम करो, अपना ईयर ऑफ बर्थ 100 साल पीछे कर दो. तुम 1998 बॉर्न थे तो 1898 कर दो. ब्रिटिशर्स इंडिया को रूल कर रहे हैं, क्या करोगे लाइफ में बताओ. So look at what kind of options you have here. Look at what kind of options you have. You'll start feeling good about yourself.
One thing I want to say is कि if you're feeling relaxed right now, that's great. लेकिन जो actual effort शुरू होता है, that is after the exam. क्योंकि XLRI में GDPI has a lot of value. Your GD topic will invariably require you to have some knowledge of the world. PI में वो जरूर आएगा ही आएगा.
तुम लोगों को
मुझे आया था. It is laughable that India is a super poor country but aspires to be a superpower.
Acha. Okay.
Oh, okay. And mine was like should social media be sanctioned or not? So the views regarding that, because
What about
things
you
were
guys?
happening at that time.
What about you guys? Divya, the
Yeah,
question.
my topic was around the work culture, the changing work
I
culture
my
in corporate.
Yours, Kartike?
and mine was a HR topic about office romances being a issue and how to deal with it and something
Okay.
about it. लंबा सा question था उसमें.
और इंटरव्यू में जीके पूछते हैं जो तुम लोग बोल रहे हो.
Interview
बहुत
में
generic है.
they won't directly ask you GK.
It
जैसे
can be
मेरा
anything actually.
Yeah.
मेरे में ये हुआ था कि द इंडिया सुपर पावर टॉपिक, तो मैंने बीच में एक दो बार बोल दिया डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड. उन्होंने वो चीज इंटरव्यू में उठा ली कि इसको डिस्क्राइब करो. देन दे वेंट इनटू वेरी कंसेप्चुअल डिटेल. Gaurav Vallabh sir was taking my interview and he went into a lot of conceptual detail.
Okay.
तुम्हें पता भी हो डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड तो तुम इंटरव्यू से बाहर निकलोगे बोलोगे कि मेरे को तो पता ही नहीं होता क्या है. So they won't ask you directly कि हमें ये fact बताओ. They will pick up something, they will relate it to something else, but they will test you on the fact कि not if you're knowledgeable, if you're aware.
And aware of what you're saying essentially. So like I mentioned that one of my friend is into organic agriculture, and they asked me which is the only organic state in India and what are the problems related to organic farming. And these are the things that, so they just go into what you're saying. They won't essentially, as Ayush said, that they won't essentially ask you if COVID vaccines are out or not. They will, like, for this year, they may probably ask that how, if you are in an organization, how will you maintain social distancing, or how will you ensure that people come to the offices and work without having.
I mean, the questions are not random. It's not like कि 5 rivers का नाम
No. They are not random.
No,
They're
no.
related to what you are saying. So if I say I am coming from Jaipur, they'll probably ask why it is called.
How detailed is the form? The form that they send after the interview part.
Very detailed.
What kind of
Very detailed, I guess. So basically, what Zach does is what you are going to do in your MBA. Before your SIPs, you are asked to prepare your BQs, your behavioral questions. And that is what they do before the ZAT exam in the form of a form, and they don't tell you that these are your BQs. So what you need to do is you need to analyze whatever you've done in your life, and you're supposed to bucket it. मेरी weakness ये
What
है,
kind
मेरा
of questions
strength.
are on the form?
Sorry, sir, I couldn't get that.
What are the questions on the form?
The questions are like, what has been the most difficult experience in your life? What have you learned from it? Or what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And don't humble brag there. Don't be dishonest. They will get to know. They'll definitely get to know. Our profs only take the interviews. We have interacted with them enough to know that they will catch you. Most of them are tricky and sly in that way that they will get you comfortable and they will get it out of you.
And I would like to mention one thing which worked for me during the interview, especially like while I was preparing for the interviews. There were some forums from where you can get to know which professor or who professors are like taking the interviews actually or in the panel. So if you do a bit of research about their areas of interest or whatever they teach in XLRI, and you can prepare around that. For example, my work was related to analytics, and fortunately one professor was there from statistics who was taking my interview. So I prepared well around that topic, and I brushed up everything, and that proved to be very helpful during my interview. I took that in the same direction, and it out of 50 minutes, 30 minutes was around statistics. So I could handle that well. So that's how
that reminds me, something similar happened to this student I was talking about, Nishant Mir. He's super senior. He's, I think, 2000, 2001 batch. Must be a president, vice president, somewhere now. So he had a very average academic background and everything, 53% in graduation kind of thing. और बिहार का था तो 3 साल का ग्रेजुएशन 5 साल में हुआ था उसका. All those things. तो उसको प्रोफाइल का बड़ा दिक्कत था. तो for 1 year I had asked him to read a lot about something passionate. तो उसने क्या किया इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस के अराउंड उसने काफी रीडिंग की थी. और in his interview he got the prof who was teaching emotional intelligence at Bangalore at XLRI. और वो पूरा उसका इंटरव्यू उस पे चला गया. तो we are very comfortable after the interview you are through now because he could demonstrate knowledge which first year student might not have had on that topic.
Yeah.
So they still teach emotional intelligence at XLRI? Is that a subject yet?
Yeah. Not a
Yeah, they
subject,
do.
but a part of
It's
subject
called
for us.
Managing human behavior.
OB,
organizational behavior
OB.
now, I think.
हाँ ओके वो भी कर दिया उस टाइम ये
OB, I
इमोशनल
guess.
इंटेलिजेंस था वहाँ पे पहले ठीक है
And
वो
yes, in interview they can grill you on like DM questions also, like ethical questions, especially. Ki, what if you are placed in ITC? What would you do? First, they will ask you what is ITC, what do they produce, what are they famous for, and then they would
is there some reason for them to ask about ITC in an interview?
no ethical dilemma. Uh,
Background
no,
Actually,
no,
I
no,
don't
XLRI
know
no.
about
marketing
Ethical
does
dilemma.
that mostly.
if I don't know about ITC, what do I do then?
So you can refuse that you don't have any knowledge about that. But yeah, ITC, everyone would know they produce tobacco products, right?
Tobacco and hotels.
So yeah,
And
tobacco and hotels.
uh,
Right, right.
and also they will
So
manage this thing, yeah.
yeah, in fact, the hotel where our interview was taking place, that was also an ITC hotel. So they would have tried to judge our observation skills also. But then from there, they went into ethical dilemma question. What if you are placed in ITC? Would you promote tobacco products? And how would you see yourself grow there? So these kind of questions are being asked. They like to take you into a fix. How can you deal with tough situations like ethical dilemma questions or something related to which you are not which you haven't dealt previously, so that they can implore. Yeah.
And 2020 was the first year that included asynchronous interviews in the process.
What does that mean?
That is basically ki you will get questions on your screen. You will be given
Oh
45
yes,
seconds.
completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
What is
Video
that?
interviews.
Yeah.
Video
You
interviews.
would get a question on the screen. You would get 45 seconds to think about it, and then a minute and a half to answer on video. और ऐसे question आते जाते हैं.
कितने थे
Yeah.
कितने questions दिए थे? And
8
these are
questions.
typical questions.
Yeah.
8-10 questions.
Eight each, right?
8. Yeah, 8.
Huh.
8.
8 questions, and those
There
would be
are
questions.
Again, those BQs are there only.
Those would be questions like describe a situation where your team wasn't coordinating and what could you do about it. और ऐसे 8 questions आएंगे. One after the other. 2020 was the
One
first year
instant
that I.
of great leadership experience you had. Such questions.
वो सारा उन्होंने इंटरव्यू स्टेज से पहले खत्म कर लिया.
अच्छा तो डीएम उधर भी पूछना फिर बाद में
पूरा DM ethics DM पूरा
I want to know you inside out.
Right. So
basically whatever we'll be preparing for SIP, they'll ask here only. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, rule
So last
है.
question we'll take from the people. We have over 200 people attending now. So final tips for 3rd Jan. I think final tips would taking a lot of mocks and keep going with that. 2nd Jan.
No, I have a different strategy. So I didn't give more than 5 mocks for that, to be honest. My strategy was more to analyze where you are going wrong. And for like DM, as you said, that DM is a make or break section. So I basically didn't practice that much questions, but I read a lot about DM. So essentially my tip will be for the last 7 or 8 days will be to focus on your weak areas and try to improve them instead of just giving blatantly mocks and getting low scores or going into that loop that you get low score, you get depressed, then you give mock, then you get lower score. That loop should be broken. So like try to figure out a way out, because I have seen people going from 25, 26 marks to 32, 33 marks, and they were able to get a call from Excel. So you can do that, but like just focus on your weak points in the last few days and relax as much as you can.
This is an important question, especially for the people outside. Yash Jain is asking very, very pertinent question. How much are you scoring in mocks and how much you scored in actual exam?
10% deviation.
From the 4 of you?
I won't be the right person to answer that.
So I would take that up. So
you took 5 mocks, huh? Divya,
Yeah, just 5.
So what are your scores?
It was around 32, 33, and I ended up in 36.
What about the others? Ravi?
Yeah, so for me, it was like 29, 30, 29 to 30 range in mocks. And in actual ZAT also, I scored 31. So I would say that sticking to strategy helped me, like one particular strategy, especially in the last five mocks which I took. And I made sure that I stuck to that in the final ZAT day also. So that
Okay.
helped me a lot.
Okay, and Ayush, what about you? Mocks?
I didn't take any.
No mocks taken. So what was your preparation? Just the decision-making questions and
I just looked at decision making questions. So my thing with the paper was I focused a lot on what my strategy would be, but I didn't take any mocks. I just looked at कि decision making के questions क्या होते हैं, किस तरीके के आते हैं.
पास ईयर
And
पेपर से होगा 10 साल के.
no, I looked through your book. I looked through the examples.
वो सब तो मेरे बुक में तो पास ईयर पेपर्स ही दिया मैंने.
हाँ, तो I looked through the questions. I didn't try to solve any of the papers. I just looked through the questions because decision making is a lot of mindset. It's not knowledge. It's you need to be in that mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people that it looks like an RC question, but it is not an RC question because you have to see who's making that decision and what is the objective of the decision. Those are things that I'm doing some guys on
अगर
that.
decision में आपका mindset ठीक है, आप flow में हो, you will get an awesome score. If your mindset is off, तो problem आती है.
So there's a very small trick there to actually focus on who's making the decision. That's a way. I'll do a session for you guys, the viewers, maybe tomorrow. On decision making वो मैं load कर दूंगा तुम लोग के लिए कैसे करना चाहिए. Because it's like I mean the person who makes the decision makes a huge difference. So in the same case, suppose there's a company which is having a let's say a cash crunch. So and you are the finance head. So what your thought process will be very different from if you're the marketing head. If you're marketing person, you'll try to raise revenues. If you're finance person, your objective will be to cut costs. So it makes a very big difference on who you are. In that
Well, I sat for the exam in 2019.
For example, that if there's a hungry tiger and a deer in a forest, so what will you do? What will the tiger do? His decision is going to be different from the deer. Right? Where do you run? So the tiger is going to run towards the deer, and the deer is going to run away from the tiger. So it's who's making the decision. That's very critical.
One mistake a lot of people make in decision making is you are reading it as a question. You have to, before you answer it, you have to visualize. You have to look at all the stakeholders. तुम्हें अपने आप को situation में डाल के सोचना पड़ेगा. You cannot look at it as an external question RC type में.
अपने आप को उस पोजीशन में डाल दो.
You have to put yourself. You have to.
Yeah. Great. So thank you so much, everyone. I think it's been a long this thing. I had planned it to be just 30-40 minutes, but it was so engaging. And I got to get so much information out of you people for my knowledge also, so that I can guide people better. So thank you so much. One last question, which I think missed out discussion-wise. GK is not part of the percentile, but it's part of the selection for XLRI. So why this oddity?
We are not
because they consider it for the interviews. If we have a particularly horrendous score, they would like to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
in
it's just a
terms of
sanity
time,
check, I feel.
I think also
they're
maybe a lot of
evaluating
people are not so interested in GK. So that is not just a XLRI entrance exam. It's also maybe 100 B schools take it. Other B schools might not want the GK section to be looked at. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they don't put it in the percentile.
yeah.
True.
Okay. So final thing, one question tip from each on DM or one consolidated tip.
Just practice as much as you can for the last 10 years question paper, from the last 10 years question paper. That's it. You can do well enough.
And I've done a frequency analysis on that. Just have a look at that video, all of you, so you can understand what kind of questions in what chapters, etc. come up, right? So thank you guys. I'll wind up the session now. You guys can stay on. I'll just say bye to all these people, and we'll have a back of this meeting. So thanks everyone. We still have 175 people attending. We had a peak of around 230 people in the session. I think more than 1,000 people must have seen this. So by now, so thanks a lot everybody for joining in, and being such a patient audience. And all the best to all of you for this act. I guess all of you would all want to say that.
Yeah,
all
all
the
the
best,
best,
guys.
all the best,
Have
everyone.
a great one.
Yeah.